Við skulum heyra í Judith Ehrlich og eftir höfundi Óskars tilnefndrar heimildamyndar.
This is an attack on the whole integrity of government. If whole file cabinets can be stolen and then made available to the press, you can't have orderly government anymore.
A name has now come out as the possible source of the Times Pentagon documents. It is that of Daniel Ellsberg, the top policy analyst for the Defense and State Departments.
I think it is time in this country to quit making national heroes out of those who steal secrets and publish them in the newspaper.
In the first year of marriage, we're talking about him going to prison for the rest of his life.
Now, girls, forgive me concern about the possibility of going to prison for this.
We have a quick back. Wouldn't you go to prison to tell such a story?
We felt so strongly that we were dealing with a national security crisis. Henry Kissinger said that Dr. Daniel Ellsberg was the most dangerous man in America and he had to be stopped.
Þetta var brot úr myndina Hættulegasti maður Ameríku. Myndin Daniel Ellsberg, embættismann sem var frægur fyrir að leka viðkvæmum trúnaðarskjölum á tíma Víetnamstríðsins 1972. Þessi mynd sem heitir á ensku The Most Dangerous Man in America var tilnefnd til Óskarsverðlauna og hefur vakið heimsathygli. Leikstjórumyndarinn hérna hjá mér, hún heitir Judith Ehrlich. Welcome to Silver Ales, Judith. This is a very interesting film. It's a passionate subject about this man, his courage, his bravery, his struggle, and as you might even say that this plays out a bit like a thriller.
It does. It is a bit like a thriller. It was a story that had a lot of twists and turns and unexpected events that really caused this man to change from one of the major war planners of the Vietnam War to being one of the major anti-war activists and revealing a new aspect of American politics to the American people and to the world, I think, and sort of a sense of part of that whole Watergate period of beginning people in the U.S. and around the world to distrust governments in a way they hadn't previously. Daniel Ellsberg had a lot to do with that by revealing 7,000 pages of top-secret documents to the American people through the New York Times and eventually 19 other papers.
I remember Daniel Ellsberg when I was a kid. This was the big news of the time, and the title of your film is from it's a quote from Henry Kissinger, who described him as being the most dangerous man in America.
I think that was he was seen as no one had ever done what he did before. He really was a whistleblower in a time when that concept really didn't exist. He was able to really shake up the American government, upset the White House to the point that he faced 115 years in prison for his act. But it was really the overreaction of Henry Kissinger and particularly President Richard Nixon that caused the downfall of Nixon and also and changed the administration because of his reaction to Daniel Ellsberg. What's known as Watergate, we really have, through the research we did for this film, really feel that it's much more was the break-in to Dr. Fielding's office, to Daniel Ellsberg's psychiatrist office, which was the thing that could be traced directly back to the White House and caused such consternation in the White House and caused Nixon to pull the dirty tricks, create the plumbers unit, and end up really destroying himself.
That was part of a big smear campaign.
Yes. He wanted to discredit Daniel Ellsberg, who had been, a true blue coal warrior, a member of the White House, a member of the State Department, very high up, assistant to McNamara, Secretary of Defense assistant, and had a lot to do with planning the Vietnam War, and particularly the civilian bombing of Vietnam, which was something he felt extremely guilty about, and spent the rest of his life really trying to make up for that.
But why did he have this sort of change of mind?
I like to think it's the women who were around him. Really, it was both a woman named Janaki, who was a Gandhian, who was brought up in a community of Gandhiists who had actually lived with Gandhi, and his wife, Patricia Marx Ellsberg, who was a huge influence on him. And she, at the time, was in National Public Radio, had a program on National Public Radio. Their first date, she took the Pentagon insider out to help her record a peace rally against he was so afraid he'd be photographed at this peace rally and discredited by his comrades in the Pentagon. But that was he really liked her, and he went along and carried her tape recorder and against his better judgment, and eventually they were married.
But he was exposing a web of deceit and lies.
Yes, that went back to the Eisenhower administration. I mean, or Truman administration, really. I mean, I think the thing that's most revealing, Daniel Ellsberg was one of the few people who read this entire report, which was ordered by McNamara, to reveal the history of our involvement in Vietnam, U.S. involvement in Vietnam. And what Ellsberg found reading it was this web of lies and this ongoing I think he went into it thinking if only the president had the right information, he would do the right thing. And what he found reading this report was indeed the president had the right information, but none of them wanted to be the one left holding the bag, being the one who lost the war. They were much happier handing it on to the next president and leaving the next president in this quagmire than being the one who lost. And so that kind of inability to accept the consequences of pulling out kept the war going for the many years that we were at war in Vietnam. And I think that's what he wanted to reveal to the American people.
But he was back in the news in this year.
Yes.
In connection with a phenomenon which is very famous in Iceland,
yes.
WikiLeaks.
Yes.
And he became sort of almost a spokesperson for WikiLeaks.
He did, and it was interesting. I was in Australia at the Sydney Film Festival at the time, and at the time that Bradley Manning was named as the source, and Julian Assange, who's an Australian, and there was a great deal of interest in this in Australia. Julian Assange goes underground, and at that moment he had been scheduled to meet with Dan, be on a panel with Dan in Las Vegas. And so Dan is left without anyone to be on the panel with, and he becomes sort of the informal spokesperson for Assange at that moment. Yeah. And then since then, as things have evolved, there's been so many comparisons between the Pentagon Papers and WikiLeaks that he's been on a lot of talk shows and, Larry King Live and all these shows in the United States and also outside of the United States as well, talking about the relationship of what he did and what Assange has done and what Bradley Manning has done.
Well, of course, WikiLeaks has been publishing papers from regarding Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yes.
Yeah. But you were preparing a film about WikiLeaks.
Yes, I sort of. It just seemed like an obvious next step to this. They were so connected, and Dan and I spent a lot of time talking about these issues, and I was invited to this festival and thought, what a wonderful opportunity to meet Birgitta, Jan's daughter, and Kristen, and sort of start beginning to look at the possibilities of making a film on this subject. I think what's going on here is really fascinating, especially the Modern Media Initiative in Iceland. And it seems like you're really breaking new ground and doing it in a very systematic and interesting way and really trying to preserve free speech around the world in a way that could really impact this world with no borders anymore when it comes to information.
Yeah.
And
I know many people are very interested in that, but,
yes.
but I hope the interest will be sustained within Iceland.
Yes, me too. And I worry about whether the United States is going to make a real effort to make that hard to do. I think they certainly have their interest in that not going forward. So it's going to be
there might be a danger of that.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I'm curious to see how it evolves and if you're able to sustain this interest and be able to get this legislation passed. But it seems like a great place to do it with your small, intimate kind of country here. You can really be very courageous and move ahead, I think, in ways it's hard to do.
We have WikiLeaks. We have Ellsberg, who was a high official.
Yes.
But WikiLeaks is more sort of a geek phenomenon.
Yes.
Computer geeks.
Yes, and Bradley Manning isn't Dan Ellsberg. He's not, a high-level... He just happened to have access to, or allegedly, I mean, we haven't, confirmed that it's Bradley Manning, but it appears to be, and he seems to have access to a huge number of documents. I mean, the numbers, when, you'll see, those who see the film, the process of Xeroxing these papers on a 1969 Xerox machine was extremely slow, tedious. It took Dan months to Xerox 7,000 pages. Here you're talking about hundreds of thousands of documents that can be put on a disk and flown around the internet in an instant and passed through many hands. And
it's a whole new ball game.
It's a whole new ball game
with the internet.
Yes, and it's got its dangers and it's got its possibilities. But I think it's easy to. I think the quantity might not be such a positive thing. I think limiting the quantity may have been a better idea. But I think the concept of knowing that secrets are going to be hard to keep by people who want them kept. And as Bill Moyers said recently, a very important American journalist, that all the news is a secret that someone wants to keep.
Yes.
Someone's got an interest in keeping information away from the public, and I think the whole idea that the public has a right to know what's really going on in governments and in corporations is a really important concept, and WikiLeaks carries that out, as the Pentagon Papers did, and as many whistleblowers have done around the world. So it's an exciting subject.
Thank you for being on Silver Radio.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. And your
Lovely.
film is showing in, I think it's on Friday at 11 o'clock.
Yes.
People can watch your film next Friday at 11 o'clock at Bio Paradis.
Yes.
Yes. So,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.